good evening. How's everyone doing? Man, today has been a real struggle for me, but knowing that it's 7 o'clock, that always hurts more in my heart. We've been at this thing now for 3 seasons. I don't know how much time that equates, but I'm really elated to be in season 3, and with season 3 has come to episode 3. We made a couple of changes that are superb to me. We've added a co-host. I know that's generally done. That's generally done at the start of the season, but we're different here at Life Off the Bench, and we don't follow any rules, constraints, or anything like that. We just go with how we feel. So, with that being said, I'd like to introduce my new co-host. She was a panelist. Also, she's been a fan favorite here at Life Off the Bench. What's up, niece?
Hey, how are you, Hobart?
I'm awesome. Love the energy.
Happy to be a co-host. This has been a long time coming.
Yeah. And I think you're ready for it.
I appreciate the awesome opportunity.
Hey, you know that's what we're about here at Life Off the Bench, building and growing, one leader at a time. And again, you've been prepared for this moment for so long.
Thank you.
You lead in everything you do. Tonight's show topic is a really great one. If you don't understand the single mother versus the divorced mother, yeah, you probably don't know anybody that living life as a single mother. And I'm talking about the real trials of a single mother, or you don't know anyone that's a divorced mother, and there are also real trials that come with that. You know, and so we're gonna touch on this. We're gonna touch on this really touchy subject. We hope that you all will do what? Join the conversation. It's something that we love to say here at Life Off the Bench. Just join the conversation. Hey, I'm gonna let Anise introduce the panelists tonight. Go ahead, Anise, bring them all in.
I sure will. So tonight joining us, we have Brother Chad Wilson joining us, an educator. Chad is also a disciplinarian. Would you like to add anything to that, Brother Chad? Take us off mute, Chad.
And I'm also heavily involved in the community. So all of those different things, and just happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chad. Then we have one of our latest joins to this phenomenal group is Brother Alan Davis. Alan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Alan Davis. I'm a attorney here in Gonzales, Louisiana, with the emphasis on criminal defense and personal injury. I'm also heavily involved in the local community, former AAU basketball coach, a parent to 4 wonderful kids, and a husband to a lovely wife, Kashana Davis, who is an assistant principal in the East Baton Rouge Parish School District.
Thank you so much, Alan. Awesome. Our financial guru of the group, Ms. Shapri Barnes. Take us off mute, Shapri.
Same thing. Just happy to be here. That's it.
Cool beans. And Sister April Grayson joining us from Helping Hands Ministry. Take us off mute, April.
My monitor don't want to cooperate. Anise gonna get that right yet. Healing Hands Ministries.
What did I say? Helping. I did. Well, your healing hands help a lot of folks. How about that?
Always wonderful to be here with you guys for another season. It's a lot to me, a lot of layers to peel back, but hopefully over this next season, you'll get to see the sides of April.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I did see someone else. We had a new join, and I don't see her right now, but when she comes in, I'll be sure to join her with us. Now we have Brother Alfred Collier of Roots Mentoring, adding his criminal justice spin on things and mentoring. Please take us off mute, Brother Collier.
Good evening, panelists. It's nice to be here. Peace and blessings.
All right. And tonight's sponsor from the Coaches Sanctuary.
You gotta add.
Coach Eddie J. Hamilton, come on in. I always got some flavor for you, Coach.
Man, oh boy. Wow. Chad, I don't know what to say.
What you talking about, huh?
Yeah, man. Woo-hoo. All right,
Now
yeah.
we're moving up to the big league. Get not turn it fast. Hey.
All right, well, I'm happy to be here. Eddie Hamilton, Coaches Sanctuary, where I help athletic coaches build successful programs by helping them eliminate stressors.
Awesome. And here she is. Come on in the room, Doc. Here she is, Sister Raven. Take us off mute, Rave.
Oh, my mic was muted. How y'all doing? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
You muted, Hogan. I see you.
Can we go back for a second? I want to do something real quick. I absolutely love this. I don't think you guys love it as much as I do. Damn.
Wow.
Hey.
Wow. Make sure y'all subscribe on YouTube.
There are weekly, daily, hourly, almost releases on Facebook. Catch him in his element. I mean, his graphics are on point. The podcasts are electric, exciting, exuberant, enthusiastic. If you cannot glean pearls of wisdom for every genre, for every area, it does not matter if you are coaching and mentoring young people, but in your every walk of life, you can gather something to use no matter the profession from the Coaches Sanctuary. Then I am not sure what you are listening to if it is not Coach Eddie J. Hamilton. And again, where can you find it? The Coaches Sanctuary podcast. Bam. Brought here at Life Off the Bench.
Hey, damn! I feel like I'm on the show with royalty now.
Oh my goodness, boy, y'all! Woo. Make sure I see you that check.
Howard.
Oh Lord, my bad. I apologize. I have to get used to now our official co-host, Madam Anise. I have to make sure I get used to it. So I have to spend. So it's 50-50. That's how y'all splitting.
No. Well, I'll say
You know you don't want me to have a penny of that.
Well, seeing as how I'm married to the man that's next to you, we're gonna make that 60-20-20.
60-20-20.
No, wait, I'm screwing up. Hold on. 50-30-20.
Alan, is that legal? Is that legal, Alan?
Whatever the parties agree to.
Whatever they agree to.
We are not agreeing to that.
I'm loving this vibe tonight. I'm loving this.
And Alfred can have 49 of my 50.
There you go. All right, there. That's love right there, boy.
That's love.
That's love. So, I'm loving this vibe tonight. Shapri, you like this? I like this vibe.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's always a good vibe.
Let's get started, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I struggled. On Wednesday, I came in and I said, because our veto, we skipped a week as far as topics goes. And from the moment I made the decision to skip the original week 3 topic, I've struggled with this because this week's show involves mothers and daughters who become mothers. And from that spectrum, we've talked in the past, I think in season 1 and season 2, we talked about marriage and the joys and happiness of marriage. But we've yet to talk about the single mother and the divorced mother. And we could have made each one of these topics individualized. They could have been their own separate shows with enough content involved in it to go 3 hours each, I believe. But we're going to intertwine them and intermingle them because in a lot of ways, the single mother and the divorced mother is the same exact person. As far as how they carry themselves, how they have to, if they are with kids or with a child, the process of everyday life, I believe, is the same. Where the pain comes in, and we'll get into a little bit later. But let's start with Alan, just on the single mother, Alan. What comes to your mind when you hear the single mother?
Who is younger in age, 25, typically making ends meet or having the struggles of raising a child, as far as those are the that I have in my mind when I'm about a during the age, experience more things on to make um, single mothers may not have the father around to assist them with caregiving of the child. And so as when I hear single mother, that's what I think of.
Free.
So I heard bits and pieces of what he said, and I agree with what he said. Single mother is, one who is solely responsible for every aspect of the child's well-being, without any help from the other parent or a step parent. Just doing everything on our own to make sure that child is very well taken care of, whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially.
Grayson Girl 1.
So when I hear the term single mother, I see or I hear me, a lot of other women that look like me. I was once a single mom that pretty much did whatever she could, whenever she could, however she could, to make sure some little people that had two eyes looking back at her were able to get what they need, accomplish what they need to become all they needed in life. You say you were married. I was married, but prior to being married, I was a single mom. And sometimes in being married, you still appear to be a single parent. So hats off to all those who are in the race and they get up every morning and they keep running to make it happen for the little people that they are obligated to.
Can you say that last line again, please?
Which part? Hats off?
No. About the
sometimes being divorced or being married. You are still a single parent.
And say more about
it. You don't have the help that's needed or required within the home. Maybe that person doesn't have the ability or capability to co-parent or the tools that are necessary to be a willing and able and helping parent. So the pressure is placed more on one parent than the other. And I said I see me, but it's not all women that are single parents either. There are men that are single parents that are doing the same or just as much as a mother would do for their children.
Awesome.
When I think about the term single parent, I think about or single mother rather, about someone who's trying to bring about a balance between their needs and their children's needs. In the line of work that I do in the school system and even in the community, I see single mothers wearing a lot of different hats, taking on a lot of different responsibilities to make sure that their children have the many of the opportunities that other children have. So, and just trying to balance it all, trying to just keep it together, and for their kids, so that, like I said, so their kids could have a chance. I see some situations where the father is in the picture, and I see some where they're not. So, and even trying to balance those, the custody and all that good stuff as well. So when I think about single mother, I think about a person trying to balance the responsibilities.
Awesome. And Raven. You're on mute. Nope, we can't quite hear you, but that's okay. So you may have to log back off and log back on. And that's okay. We'll let you in. We're here. So as Raven is doing that on the technical side, and that sometimes happens, Hope and I were having a conversation earlier. And so the question was posed, what's the difference between a single parent and a divorced parent, right? Because there's a singleness to both. And so there's a fine line between the two. And so sitting in this duality of being co-host and panelist, I feel sort of like the song, double dutch in, double dutch out, double dutch side to side, because I want to answer the question as well. And I think I'm going to take a little bit of liberty on this one because I heard myself in April's answer because I too sat in that seat as a single mother. And I remember that role, but I remember that role from the perspective of receiving the answer from one of my wisdom mothers who said that it's a poor, pitiful Black woman that can't handle one baby. But then my mind takes me now as I sit in the wisdom seat and say, what if there's 2, 3, 4, 5? And so I'm going to put a pin there because we still have to hear from Brother Eddie and Sister Raven. So I want Sister Raven, and I want to defer to their answers. So I'm going to go back to Raven. See, that's where I get to go to the duality. Hey! I'm going to take Raven because I'm loving this lipstick right now. And that's we the lipstick gang. Ladies, hey, holla if you hit me. Do we outnumber them? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, they still have us. So we have to get another lady. Come on now. Or we have to hit them in the knees so one of them don't show up one Sunday. Okay, come on, Ray. No, we still don't have it. Okay, come on, Brother Hamilton.
Raven, are you wearing ear pods? Oh, because I know sometimes they won't work on you. So I'm just double checking.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, we hear you now. Good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. I hit some button on my computer. Thank you.
Everyone clap for Raven.
Let's go.
Clap for Raven.
I know I'm on a short bus tonight.
We cheer. We one team, one band, one sound. Let's go.
I'm sorry about that. But I think we're talking about the single mom. And when I think of a single mom, I think of someone, just from my experience, I had to really do some self-reflection when it came to just a single parent altogether, because I didn't come from a single parent home, and had to realize that, because my sisters right now, they all are single mothers, and that is a difference, that they do require more emotional support sometime, and as someone who we cannot directly relate, that we just have to be open that they do have resources and needs that need to be met, especially when and I am so pro woman. You can ask my husband, we bump heads about this all the time, but I can say that when you're trying to raise all boys, it can be difficult as a single mother. Same thing with girls, but I know, just I'm speaking from experience, that it's just difficult when you're trying to raise boys. Because I have one sister who has daughters and other ones that have sons. So just seeing them and seeing the strength I mean, same thing if it was a single father, but we're not talking about fathers tonight. I said mothers, but you just have to have a lot of strength, a good resource team, just being a single parent. Period.
Thank you for that. And Coach from the Coach's Sanctuary podcast.
And y'all spoiling me tonight. Lord have mercy. For me, almost 2 decades now in the education system, y'all know I get a chance to see all type of parental backgrounds. And I think one of the lessons for me that I actually was able to share with one, I remember I've had the conversation with a couple of mothers, but I remember the first time I had this conversation. The young man, his father was in jail. They had a situation that happened, and he was the baby boy. His brother and sister was out of the house, but he was a senior in high school, and it was my first year working at this school. So I'm developing relationships. So in that, the mother was sharing with me. She apologized. She was like, "Look, I know he's spoiled. I know he's riding. I'm doing the best I can. With his dad not being here. I'm trying to. I don't want to, make him feel guilty or punish him for his dad not being. It was different things she was adding to the story. And I looked at her and I said this to her. I say, ma'am, the nature that you have as a mother does not have to change because you're a single mother now. You're a nurturer, you're a caregiver, you love, that's what you are. You're emotional support for your son. I said, it does not have to change. I said, you are the way that you are, and you don't have to make up for his father. I said, it's not your job to make up for that because you cannot replace the role of his father. The role that you have as a mother is the same whether you're single or married, meaning the nature that you have. Like I said, you all know this better than I do because some of you all have lived this experience. But the reason I was saying that because I hear people say cliche a lot, I'm mama, I'm dad, I'm this, I'm that. Well, no, you're not daddy, you're mama. Be mama. And don't think that you have to, replace the father, and that was one of the things that, at church and different meetings and things that we had, that getting to understand, just embrace the role that you have and do that to the best of your ability, and not think you have to make up for a deficit that's there. Be who you are, have the nature that you have. And I've been able to have that conversation over time, and I found that some of the ladies I was able to talk to sitting in the office, that it helped to relieve some stress because she was not trying to be somebody that she wasn't anymore. And it was just be mama and love the way that you know how to love, and don't feel like you're trying to make up for something else. That was just, and that was just an experience that I had. And over years, I still have those conversations sometimes. And I found it to be beneficial to the mother so that she could enjoy her time with the children as her son, as he's developing into a man.
All right. And Brother Collier, wrap us up.
Okay. When I hear a single mother, I think about a lot of responsibility and being faithful in that relationship, showing strength, having to show that for your child, you can't show fear, or there's a lot of time that you're unable to let your guards down, I guess. But when I think about it, I just think about all the responsibility for caring for a child. That's what I think about. That's what I see.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And it is.
Great.
It is.
Great great intro to your thoughts on what the single mother looks like to you. Coming from a place of having a single mother growing up as a young kid, which seems like forever ago now. Now that I've crossed the hump, and crossing the hump means over 50. That's an age where, as a kid, we look at like old, not old. But I'm coming from a place of oneness with having a single mother and having to lean and depend on her for everything. When you look at today's challenges of what a single mother is, how can we help the young single mother who, I was always told the first one is a mistake, but the second one, absolutely what happens when you do it. And so now, and we have this situation in real life, everyday life, a lot now, whereas 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they have multiple children, but they're still a child themselves. How can we help them in a manner of advice, love, and support, and showing them, even though you've been through this path, and I guess this should be a ladies only question, fellas. How do we help them in that manner of saying, hey, just because you're in this position, it's not a new position, and you can still have everything that you want in life. Anik.
Oh, wow. First thing that comes to mind is, for me, testimony, sharing our stories. And I think that with that, the rebuttal has always been, well, that's you and I'm me. That worked for you, but that worked for me. And I think that the biggest part of that is not telling a person what to do, but sharing and showing them. If you're not willing to invest time, then don't preach to someone else. And by preaching, I mean fire and brimstone, condemnation and judgment, but simply sharing love, understanding, patience, and kindness. In that, sharing the wisdom that I received when I became a single mom. It wasn't one that knocked my feet from under me, but helped me to stand up when I became a mom and said that I could make it, that this wasn't the end of my story, that I was a junior in undergrad when I was expecting. And it was like, well, okay, now what's the rest of the plan? How do we finish strong? How do we keep going? What's next? And here I am 32 years later, and I'm still standing. But not standing alone, but reaching back and helping others. And so if you then create a map for others to follow and then go back and show others direction, it's almost, and it's so funny that I'm sitting here thinking this, not liking myself in any shape, form, or fashion to Harriet Tubman, but having the willingness, the spirit to say, I'm going to go back and help others come out. I'm going to go back and help others come out. I'm going to go back and help others come out. I'm going to go back and help others, show them the way. I'm going to go back and speak life into them. Then you can help them know that's not how the story ends. if that makes sense. It does to me.
Was truly awesome. And I have a question later off of what you just said. Let's drop down one level, stay in the middle. Pre.
You're on mute.
Sorry. So I agree with much of what Anise said, and I also think even if you cannot make time for that person and you encounter that person on one occasion, you still preach, you still voice, because sharing your story one time can make a difference in a single mother's life, and sharing your experience. I do think we do need to understand it's different times, there's more resources. So just giving them the guidance, not coming across, like you said, judgmental, inconsiderate, and just creating a safe space for them to open up to us to be able to guide them in being a single mother. And that it's not always easy, but it's doable, and you can be successful in it.
April.
So, let's go back here to 1983. I was a 13-year-old girl when I was even really introduced to the idea of becoming a single mother. Now, mind you, I wasn't a bad child. I just happened up on something. I was an honor roll student. I was on the National Honor Society. I was on the newspaper staff. Matter of fact, I was co-editor of the newspaper staff. I was on the basketball team. I was on the track team. I was on the softball team. You name it, I probably did it, because there was nothing in my mind that I couldn't do. And when you have a lot of people that are supposed to be giving you guidance, offering you resourceful and helpful information, and the whole time you seem to be up, they were on your side. The one time you do something wrong, and as Hopper said earlier, the first one is a mistake, that's what they say, but all in the same breath, they're saying you did this and you're going to be just like everybody else. All you're going to have is a house full of kids. And I was like, well, who gets to write that story in my life? Who gets to tell me that's what's going to happen to me? And so at 13, I made the decision that nobody gets to say that this is all you can be and this is who you're going to be. At 13, I made the decision that anybody would listen, I'm going to tell them, if you happen up to make a mistake or what somebody else appears to be a mistake in life, it's not the end. It's not the final say. It doesn't say where you have to go from there, and nobody gets to tell me how far I'm going to go from there. So in December of 1983, I had this 3-pound, 3-ounce chocolate baby that I had no idea how to care for because I was still a child, literally. I had some instructions and I had some, this is what you're going to do, this is how you're going to do it. Not really a full playbook, as the coaches would say. And so I struck out on the life of, I got to do what I can do to take care of this child so that she can have the best life. And so in my heart of hearts, the only thing I knew was I had to make it right for this baby. It was no longer really about April, but what could I do to make sure this baby is taken care of, she's provided for. And I think being 13, not knowing anything about nothing, I did a pretty good job. She's 39 today. She has her own babies. That they seem to think I know a lot, and I think I don't know half the stuff that they know or anything, but I know one thing I knew then was, and what I would tell a young lady today, you don't have to be a product of what your situation looks like. You can write your own book. You can be whatever you want to be, and nobody has the final say to put you somewhere that you don't want to be. You're stronger than what you think you are, and even when it gets hard, you're even stronger to make it down the road to where you need to be. You don't have to be a statistic. You don't have to be another number. But you can be you and be greater. You know, I always got to have a scripture, and the Bible says, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. And so I always knew that the great one was inside of me, and I could do all things through him who gives me strength. And so if I had to say something else to him, that's what I would tell him. You can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. You don't have to be the next number or the next statistic, because you were destined to have a life filled with greatness.
Rage.
Amen.
Yeah, that was good. That was real good. But yeah, just because when Miss Anise, when you first started, when you were speaking about just educating and all of that, but I feel with single parents, we have to let them know, and I just know, as a provider, it's more than just giving somebody a plan or something to do. It needs to be something. I know with me, it's like I wasn't a single parent or a teen mom, any of that, but the parents just tell you, hey, you need to go to college. It's very generic. It's very general. When you have a single mom who may need a little bit more instructions, if you do have the time, I try to do something specific for that patient. Like, hey, I know you're interested in nursing, so hey, let me look at the technical colleges around here. Let me look at what's online that's beneficial, resources and things that can help a parent, especially a single parent, to move forward. I think a lot of times we be like, hey, yeah, you need to do this, you need to do that, with no guidance on where to start. So with single parents, I think that's what, if we can focus on showing them the resources, showing them the plan, giving them a path, telling our stories, I think that'll be the best way for them to be successful.
So, Ravens, if I may, and I if you allow us this moment, Hobart, since you gave this to us, as we do, this is what we do when we have our conversations, is we share this. So, what we do is, what I have this group of young ladies that do meet, and they're the legendary ones, because they are legends in their own right, and that is what we do. We provide resources to each other.
Yeah.
So when I say have a plan, the plan is just for that, to network, to resource, to what do you know, who do you know, how do we get there. So this is the plan. How do we get to the plan? How do we make the plan work? How do we make a piece? What of your pie can you share over here to make mine yummy, delicious, to make it work? How does it look? What does it sound like? What does it taste like? As April was sharing, this is not how the story ends. How do you want your words to write? What do they look like? They're all equipped with a journal when they come in. That's the first thing. You get a journal and a beautiful... wait, hold on. I'm that girl. I'm that girl that gets up in the middle of a podcast, right? Of course, I'm not going to see it right now, right? But I give them a beautiful journal and a beautiful pen. Because when you take the vision, you write it down, you make it plain. And you make it plain, and they get a beautiful, beautiful pen with a beautiful diamond on there, so they can always remember, you are the light, shine like a bright diamond that you are. And when you continue to write it, it becomes manifestation of those things that are the desires of your heart. And he will do exceedingly abundantly above all that you can imagine, hope for, wish, pray, think. Always, because with God, all things are possible. So I said that to say that I was 20 years old. I was a junior undergrad. And I was like, okay, Lord, I came from... I had both parents, and it was so funny. My dad, I was a dad girl, but I was like, okay, Dad, you made a home for you and your children and your family. But I told my mom, I'm ready to move out. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, because you made a home for you and your dad. And he was like, no, you're not going anywhere. I was like, yes, I am. He's like, no, you're not. And my dad, I used to leave my parents' home, and before I get home, which was an 8-minute drive, my father would be at my house waiting for me to make sure it was safe. And I said that to say is that it wasn't that I had all the resources, but it was because the vision had already been made plain as to this was part of the responsibilities that you tried to do for you and your family. So those were some of the next steps that have been modeled for me and my family. So it was, do some of these steps. And so then I look back over my life and I look up, even in my office as I sit here now, and I look at a pillow that I have up there that says one more chapter. And I'm working on PhD. But here we are 32 years later. So the vision still stays there. Journals are everywhere. Pretty journals. Where I practice what I preach. I keep a pretty journal and a pretty pen with me at all times to take the vision and write it and make it plain. So that I don't just speak, talk the talk, I walk the walk. So I share that with not just young ladies, but all ladies, that we have to remember that somewhere in us has to be a drive, that we weren't just born to be ordinary, because we can't give up on being less than legendary, because God made us all what? Wonderful. In his image. And if I'm in his image, I'm good. I'm good. So sorry, Hobart. I mean, I'm just saying. So I heard you, baby. I heard you. Ting! What you say, April? I can do all things through Christ Jesus that strengthens me. All things.
Yes.
Cards right here that said, with God, all things are possible. Come on, somebody.
Just to tag on to what Anise said, man, I've been journaling for years. I got books and pens. Like I was showing it because I just went and bought. I got about 2 other ones that I've just went and bought, because I've always got something that I want to move to the next level on, and that helps keep me focused. And like she said, Habakkuk 2 says, write the vision, make it plain. Though it tarry, it shall come to pass. And if you don't have a vision, you possibly may not have a future, not the future you want. Or you're able to get to I like what Raven said, when don't just give them an idea, but give them a plan. Here are some resources. I'm constantly telling people, when I used to work for Texas Department of Health and Human Services, I used to ask them, what is it that you want to do, when I would see the young ladies come in my office and they already got 2 kids, as Hobart said, at 17, 18, 19, 20. What is it that you want to do? How do you plan on getting there? Let's make a plan. And sometimes they be looking at me, you think this is not my job, right? That's not what you came in here for. You came in here to apply for food stamps. You came in here to apply for Medicaid. Well, I'm gonna help you get beyond food stamps and Medicaid. Because when you leave here, you're gonna have a thought in your mind. I'm gonna implant the seed. Somebody else may have to water it, but I'm gonna put it there. You can do more than you think you can do. And you don't have to just be limited to being Kenetta's mom, Christopher's mom, Kiana's mom. That's what the little kids used to call me, all their friends. I was somebody else's mom. But when they look around, they see, where's your mom? Oh, she's going to school. Your mom goes to school? Oh yeah, she goes to school faithfully. So I didn't just say do this. I was the person that did that as well. So you can look at me and see what I'm doing.
Yep. Without a vision, the people perish.
Since we had something solely for the ladies, it's only right that we have something solely for the men. And although I know that these men on this panel don't have daughters that are of age to have children yet, they still, their uncles.
Collier does.
Their uncles and Jerusalem. I'm sorry. Forgive me there, Alfred. Their fathers, their uncles, their cousins. There are many things. So, men, the question to you is, what advice would you give to a young lady who's just trying to figure out her life as a young lady, but now she has to also try to incorporate being a single mother within that process as well.
Well, I'll start off. I actually kind of have a testimony myself. I have my goddaughter, Ebony Maddox. She's 33 years old. My wife and I adopted her at the age of 15 as our goddaughter. When we lived in Natchez, Louisiana, which is an hour south of here. And she became our goddaughter, and she actually lived with us. And this was early on in our marriage. And so, and she was a single mother. She had her first child at age 14. And so she has 3 daughters now. So I'm a granddad. I mean, I have one of them already graduated from the school I worked at, and there's another one there now. So I mean, I'm pawpaw. And so my words to her, when we adopted her is that this will not stop you from accomplishing your goals. Period. And what I did was, as her godfather, I took on the responsibility of teaching her how she should be treated. Took her out on dates, sat down and we talked together, listened to her. And so I took on the role of teaching her how she should be treated. And now at 33, she now has, for the last 5 years, she owns her own cleaning service with major commercial contracts. So she's not just cleaning houses; she is cleaning companies with contracts. And her oldest daughter is in college and working, and the middle child is a sophomore in high school with me, and the baby girl is in the 5th grade, and they're my granddaughters. So I have an experience with single mother, and just always do not allow this to stop you from accomplishing your goals. And I never ever bombard her when she makes bad decisions of things like that. When I've learned that when she acts, I'm available. I don't beat her upside the head when things happen. But what she's learned to do is, and her real father passed about a year or 2 ago, and so she's starting to lean on me a little bit more, since he's passed. And our conversations, when she opens up the door, I walk right on through it. And when it's done, it's over with. But she is doing well in her life. And I'm proud of her because she was a fighter. She'll cuss anybody out. I'm talking about just angry at the world. And she has now become a thriving businesswoman. And her daughters are doing pretty decent stuff.
Alfred, please.
So I do have a 24-year-old daughter who has a son. So and she is a single mother. And the fortunate thing for her is that she has a support system that allows her the ability to fulfill her dreams without having the limitation of having a child, have her put those dreams on hold. So what I try to tell my daughter is that, no matter the circumstances, continue to push forward for your dreams. She's, in college at Southern University, studying kinesiology and expected to graduate next year. She, again, the fact that she's a single mother, she has the father of the child is very supportive. He is very much involved in his son's life. So we're very fortunate about that. He attended Alcorn State University and graduated. So we are definitely blessed in that aspect. So we just tell her to continue to, go after those things that you want to go after, and we'll be there to support you in any way possible.
I think the thing that comes to my mind is have a plan. And I know it was mentioned before. It's been in my experience when I talk to different people about different things that they don't really have a plan. So I think just sitting down and having a conversation about what it is that you want to do, and understand that there may be some setbacks along the way within this plan, but it's not a doomsday, because whether you're a single mother or a single parent or anybody, you have a plan and you have setbacks, and that's okay, because that's just positive things, and moving forward is the mark of your success, and it's going to make that victory in the end even more sweeter. So I think it's just to help someone or a single mother come up with a plan, and then, like many of you all said, help them with the different support resources.
That's it? Okay, so great.
Yeah, I think he froze.
He froze.
Oh wait, no,
In this
coming in and out.
Into the resources. If
I bet you've done that.
All right, Sam, you missed the last like 45 seconds. That was cute.
Yeah, it's all good though. The process of being a single mother is really hard on some. Again, like many of you ladies and men said, it is a process. It's a journey, and sometimes on the single mother's path, and this is piggybacking from Eddie's good decisions, bad decisions. Young ladies are looking for love. They're looking for help. They're looking for support. And sometimes choices are made that aren't in the best interest of the mother nor the child. How can that vision, if that's the right word, how can that be seen, I guess, by that person in being a good decision or a bad decision? He's gone. Alfred.
I mean, so what are you talking about in regards to the decision to have sex and not be married?
No.
I mean, what do you do?
I'm not trying to tell anyone when or when not to have sex.
Why? You can.
A decision-making standpoint. Is it better to be single and not have extra worries, or because
I think you may be in a little left field, because sometimes it's not that cut and dry. The paint ain't that black or white. Sometimes people are, so what if, and I'm just gonna go here, what if this is the instance where somebody was molested or raped and they got pregnant?
Right.
It ain't just some little fast tail girl running around here being hot in the tail, or some little boy chasing her, and so she finally gives in.
Right.
And not only that, April, let's put it out here for the world to know.
Yeah.
When I conceived, I was on birth control.
And then you look at that's the other option, because when I was growing up, we didn't have no discussion about no birth control. We didn't really have no discussion about having sex. Keep your dress tail down and your pants up. And I'm still wondering, 52 years later, what in the world does that mean? And so when I had my young ladies and my son, we had some real life conversations. And one thing that I always told them, I don't care what the situation is, let's talk about it. I may not like it, but we will figure out how to get through it. And so sometimes they just need those real life conversations to happen. Sex is what it is. And if it wasn't such a good thing, why is everybody rushing into it to have it?
Right.
You like it. I like it. They like it. Let's just be honest about it. So why not let's have some real conversations with our young ladies and our young men? Because my reality, I was the little girl that brought home a baby, and her dad was not there in her life. In my adult realities, I'm telling my son the same thing I'm telling my daughters. If you get somebody's child pregnant, you're going to be in trouble, because you're getting a job. And the child support check that I get for you, I'm going to relinquish it to that little girl's parents. And my son is like, you going to do what? Wait.
Yeah.
So he thought twice about that, having sex with somebody else's daughter and them getting pregnant, because you're going to take away my funds that my dad gives to you to take care of me. To take care of that little mouth that you helped bring into this world. And you're going to get a job to help the mama take care of that little mouth. So I didn't just and I had a child that came home at, I think she was 14, pregnant with a baby. So I went and had a conversation with his parents. Like, we don't talk about the elephants in the room. We talk around the elephants in the room.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me stop you guys, because now it's time for tonight's medical minute with Dr. Raven Smith. And when we come back, we'll talk about what that conversation looks like. All that stuff.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
All right. Hi, it's me. I'm back again this week with your medical minute. Of course, it's October, so we will be talking about breast cancer awareness. Things to remember: that early detection is key. Breast cancer does affect women more often than men, but men, you have to check yourselves too. According to the American Cancer Society, average risk, you start getting your exams at 45. But if you're high risk, you start getting your exams at 40. But I still recommend that all women monthly do a self-breast exam when you're in the shower. Check yourself. If you notice anything abnormal, even if you don't think it's something that's important, definitely follow up with your primary care. Men, the same thing. If you notice anything abnormal, the key is to learn your body. So if something goes wrong or you feel something and you're not sure, that you'll follow up with your primary care, and that we can combat cancer, because it is the most common cancer of all cancers for women worldwide. So again, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Have any questions, you can definitely call on my office at 601-304-2421. And again, be safe, and happy Sunday.
Welcome back to Life Off the Bench, where we talk about real life problems with real life people to give real life solutions. Before we went to our medical minute, and again, we lost somebody.
We did. We lost Coach Hamilton from the Coach's Sanctuary and Attorney Alan Davis. They will hopefully be back with us shortly. And we have a few things. Life off the bench. We have these beautiful Carolina Blue Life off the bench shirts for sale for $25. Life off the bench t-shirts. These can be yours at the small fee in support of Life off the bench for $25. Please list it below whatever medium you're on, be it YouTube, be it Facebook, however it is. You can also email us. Please, Brother Hobart, give us the email.
You can email us at lifeoffthebench2021@gmail.com or OFFTHEBENCHSPORT@gmail.com to order your shirts. Or just hit me up 225-210-6445.
And what's that number again?
225-210-6445.
And we're going to, in the next 2 minutes, anyone that gets 4 more people to join this podcast will receive a gift from us here at Life Off the Bench.
Yeah.
And they have to drop your name in the comments that they're your guest on tonight. Bring 4 people and have them drop your name in the comments, and you'll get your own original Life Off the Bench gift from us. So when we left here, we were going to pick up on the rest of our discussion. Shapri?
So what I would say to start is, first, let's distinguish the difference between single mother and single woman with a child. There is a difference. Single woman with a child has help, or the father may be involved. Single mother is solely responsible for everything on her own. And I say that because I heard Coach Eddie and I think his name is Alan Davis mention their daughters are goddaughters. But when you have help and the father is involved, you are not a single mother. I sometimes think it's you can become a single mother in many ways. You can be engaged and just not choose to get married because you grew apart, or sometimes you never know a person until you actually enter that realm of things, and a different side of that person is shown. Like April said, rape. I know a couple of females that were raped, but they were forced to have the child because their parents didn't believe in abortion or things of that nature. So it's a number of ways you can become a single mother, but let's just understand, single mother is a woman that takes care of a child all by herself. In some cases, a single mother may not have a support system. They may not have guidance. They may not have an outlet. And when we encounter those women, we need to understand how judgment is received, or how your voice may be received, in order to help them. So I just think understand the difference between single woman with a child and single mother, and the guidance is very much necessarily different.
All right, Brother Collier.
I'm glad Shapri brought up those differences. So when we're discussing that, because now today, believe it or not, there are women who choose to be single mothers, who actually go to the doctors and get inseminated and get pregnant through that way and become a single mother. I've had a friend that done that, and she was very happy going through it, and seeing. But you know how life is, when you don't know, you don't know. So rearing a child is that's a everyday task, everyday job. It's a lot of responsibility.
All right. April.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Y'all see, I'm very passionate about single parenting. I like that differentiation, Shapri, because there is a difference. Having somebody to help you as opposed to having to do everything on your own. Like Patty LaBelle say, I'm on my own. You know, I will say this, I won't take one step of my journey and give it back or do it over. I don't even know that I would make any changes. I might make some alterations in some of my decision-making processes. But given the situations, the circumstances, I think I did a pretty good job rearing my children. And even so, I'm always got to throw something crazy out there. When you are a single mother, I was a single mother and then I got married. So essentially, I wasn't a single mother anymore, but that wasn't the father to my two older children. And so you have to really be careful who you invite into your world as a single mother. The rearing process of those children, it looks a little different than just you, because now you're introducing them to, like, in the medical world, when something is in your body that's not supposed to be there, they say that's a foreign object or a parasite. So now you're kind of introducing them to something foreign. And so you got to put the puzzle pieces together in that aspect as well. And we make decisions for people that may impact them for a lifetime as single parents. I am a strong advocate for counseling. I think if I would have had someone to talk to growing up, I made some pretty good decisions with the little I had to work with. But I probably would have made some even better ones if I had the right people to talk to. Like I said earlier, I was given a speech on this is how this is going to work. This is what you're going to do. And that was the end of that. I didn't feel like I had an option. I felt like I had to succeed because of what I was told. So I don't want to take anybody's journey as a single mom lightly. I didn't have to walk a mile in their shoes. They didn't have to walk a mile in my shoes. What we want to do is learn how to work together and figure out what's the best way for us to get to the next destination, or the best destination for us.
So if I can, I will say to piggyback, I think Coach Eddie said earlier that he gives information or advice to single moms to not say that they're the father, which I agree with, but it's not in a literal sense that they mean. It's just in a sense of when you are a single mother, especially to boys, you pick up that responsibility that is usually the father's, meaning baseball, football. These are things that people are learning and taking time to do that a father would usually do. So I don't think women mean it in the literal sense, because we are not men and we cannot teach boys to be men, so to speak. But you do take on those responsibilities that would usually be the male role. It's just. I'm sorry.
No. I was saying, yep, I got that.
I think.
But you have to be careful.
Wait a minute.
Got the men riled up, Supreme.
That's what I want.
He poked the bear. He poked the bear. Wait before y'all get him.
No, you have to be careful.
Oh no, we ain't finna. No,
wait. Y'all about to poke the bear. Raven, you want to jump in this double dutch before they get him? Before they try to.
No, I can handle it. Let them go ahead. I can handle it.
Okay, come on. Who first?
No, I was
just gonna say real quick that you're dealing with children, kids. You literally or whatever. You can't do that with kids because kids. That's how they take things, literally. Because they are kids. That's how they see things.
In that moment, you
just can't throw that out there.
No, but I'm just addressing what he said because in that moment, that's how a single mother takes it. And that's what a single mother responsibility is. On every level, you take up every role in that kid's life. Now, I said I don't agree with saying that you are the father. That was what I said before I spoke on anything else. Because as a single mother, you are not a man. And you cannot
But you are the provider. You are their provider. And you can say something like that. But if you tell a kid that,
that's not how a single mother... Listen,
they're going to run with the football. They're going to run with whatever you say.
It's okay. But you're not purposely trying to embed that into
But they are confused as of today. They are confused enough with this thing called life. I don't know if y'all recognize that. They are confused enough with up and down, left or right. They are confused with this thing called life. So for us to take these things so lightly and to say these things irresponsibly, there are precautions and there are repercussions, and those kids are going to bear it.
So what I can say as a single mother, I have not ever told that to my kids, but I can't speak on what someone else has said. Yes, I do agree that we shouldn't say that, but in a single mother's mind and a single mother's emotions, in those moments of feeling overwhelmed and responsible for every single aspect of their child's life, you're not going to always say the right thing in that moment. You're not going to always, use the correct term. And even if you're not single, married, divorced, you can't say that you always use the correct term. So it happens. I'm not saying I agree with it, but it happens. But it's not meant in a literal sense. And yes, we should correct that when it comes to kids.
Got it. Coach.
Hey, my double dutch game is strong. Okay.
Hey, come on, Sister Raven. Come on in here. Come on, you gotta get in this.
I'm over here bouncing. I'm bouncing.
You gotta come on.
I'm ready for the go.
All right, Coach. I done tried to hold you up there, Coach.
Come on, Raven.
No, I mean, it definitely seemed like it's like a male versus female with this whole conversation. I've had it with my family, but that's kind of how the single one, because I can say this. I was a single parent for 10 years, but I didn't feel it because I had so much support. But I can understand looking at my friends and my sisters, and when they're doing everything, you do feel that, hey, I am mom and dad because I am assuming those roles that normally the father would, fulfill. But then on the flip, I do understand what you said also, Alfred, about kids' minds these days are so fragile. So you have to watch because they'll take that and run left when we as an adult, we're not meaning it like that. But when you're overwhelmed and frustrated as a parent, sometimes you say a little something that you don't agree with, and then you just kind of in your mind, once it all processed, you want to bring it back, but you can't. So I just say as parents, definitely as single parents, because I see it all the time, support, resources from family, church, community. That's the biggest thing that they have, because it can be very, very overwhelming, especially if you have more than one kid being a single mom. With the dad double dutching in and out.
Okay. So, Coach, I will never let you in this segment. So I'm going to go Coach then Chad. What's all that? Because I need.
You're on mute, Coach.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Coach, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm responsible for the night.
Well, that's why you just. That's what you get. That's what you get, Coach.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
but I definitely, I believe that us here having that conversation, we understand each other. You know, we're talking to our audience.
Right.
What I know is that that's why I said earlier about a mother understanding what her role is and holding fast to it, even though you're taking on other responsibilities. But what happens is that sometimes
Okay, stop. Her role is, what's her role in 2 words?
Okay, well let me
Two words.
Yeah, I don't have 2 words.
That's
I
a
mean,
mother's role in 2
the
words.
nature that y'all have been given is to nurture, to be a carer.
Stop. Now keep going with your line. Keep going.
Okay.
I was wondering if those 2 were in there because you was gonna give
Okay, yeah, that's what I mean when you know, especially y'all are married, so y'all know, and then you live your life out of the Bible. You understand what the roles and responsibilities of man, woman, husband, father. See what I'm saying? I mean, husband, wife, mother, father. You all understand that. Everybody doesn't understand that. That's the part that we have to be. You have to make a distinction, because you have people who they'll take on a nature that's not theirs because they keep telling themselves, I'm mama, I'm daddy, I'm this, I'm that, and the other. And sometimes we can get lost in the shuffle with that, because like I told you, the experience I've had over the years in conversations was where I saw where mothers were frustrated because they were trying to replace dad instead of just be mama. You see what I'm saying? Like, your nature doesn't have to change because you're taking on some of those responsibilities. Like me in my house, we're married. My wife does not go to the barbershop. You know what I'm saying? Like, just small things, things like that. Is just certain things that she's not going to do. Like I pump the gas in her car. I take my son with me. He's learning how to do that. It's just certain things.
Okay, Coach. I cannot be me. Unless I just call you on this.
But all I'm saying is just that don't get the responsibility confused with the nature.
Okay, but how does that address the single mother that has to do that?
But I'm saying, but you're not. They gotta understand, dad is not there. You're not a man. You're not daddy.
But she has to do that. She has to.
Yes.
No, but you don't have to say I'm replacing father.
She doesn't have to say that, but she has to do that.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing with the responsibility. What I'm saying is that the nature makes it sometimes emotionally. Y'all are emotional beings. Women, that's the way God made y'all. And
that's not what you just said. You didn't hear what you said.
Okay, well,
okay.
Okay, I'm more important than what I'm saying.
So let me say this.
Okay, this is cool.
When you are a single mother, hold on, we are saying the same thing, but what you have to understand, when you're a single mother, every role is your role.
Right.
It's nothing to differentiate it. Your child should know that the father is not there, and
my nature didn't change.
Right, my nature didn't change, but my roles did. My roles.
So I agree with that. So what about? I'm talking about nature.
So hold on, listen. So when you say a father teaches his son to pump gas, now a mother, me, I taught my son to pump gas. So once he got of age, I no longer pump my own gas because I taught him that. His father was not in the picture to teach him that. So we have different roles, and I get what you're saying. We don't have to voice that we're daddy, we're taking daddy place. That's just the reality of it.
But at the same time, Coach, I never once said he is the man of my house, because he never was, and never was I the man of the house, but I was the woman of the house.
So when you're saying all this to a young boy, what are you telling him about himself? What are you telling him about his? What are you telling him about the male?
When you're saying
what are you telling him? What are you telling him?
What's the question though? When you're saying what? When you're saying what to a young boy?
what Coach is alluding to, what Coach is saying.
Right,
When you're constantly telling them,
this is not what I'm. This is not what I'm supposed to do.
When you're
this is not what I'm supposed to do. This is not what I'm
when
supposed
you're
to do.
constantly telling your male son that I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man in all situations. There goes the confusion again. That's what I'm saying. There goes the confusion.
I don't tell him I'm the man.
What is his ego like now?
That's not what Coach Helms said.
Right now?
Huh?
I don't tell them I'm the man.
We don't tell them we're the man. I don't.
Right.
Because I'm not a man.
I don't tell them I'm the man.
But what I was addressing is now I am a nurturer. I am a mother, but my roles entail the roles of a man. But I don't have to voice that to my son. I just have to teach him the things that I know to teach him. Meaning, he used gas as an example. His son, he taught him. His wife does not have to pump gas. I'm a single mother. I have to pump gas. But I can teach my son to do it. I don't have to tell him, oh, I'm doing this what your dad is supposed to be doing. I don't have to tell him that to show him life or responsibilities or to teach him, okay, take out the trash. Okay, that's my role though. As a mother, that's my role.
I can say this after just listening. When we're talking to our audience, I believe when we talk like Shapri and Miss Anise, that the mindset that you all have, let's go ahead and address and say it this way. Remember, we're old school. You see what I'm saying? What about these 20-year-olds now who they treat their boys and their 5 and 7-year-old boys like that's their boyfriend or their man?
Right, like they're the man of the house. That's different.
Yeah, like
that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, like
that's not what we're saying. This my man of the house. You gonna be the man of the house? This my little man. Oh, you don't get no. You my little man, and this my man. Oh, none of that.
Okay, so now let's talk. So now let's speak to our audience into the 20-year-old.
So I'm wait a minute. So
I believe y'all got it.
I'm gonna let Chad answer that. I'm gonna let Chad answer that. Chad.
Yeah, y'all got it.
Chad, answer.
So what's the question again?
He said about taking this same concept and addressing it to the not our generation, but to the 1-2 generations that are following us, that may connotate this to their younger sons, that may refer to them as the man of the house, or to their little mans or their boyfriends, or to the male figures in their house, in their roles as their mates rather than their sons. If I got that correct.
So really, I believe, and I've had conversations with people about this, is young people, both boys and girls, there's a lot of confusion on whose role is, because they've observed so many different mom doing certain things, dad doing certain things, or what have you, stepdad doing certain things or whatever, that they're confused. In fact, sometimes whenever I talk to them and try to get there, I just tap them for information about what do they feel like their role and their responsibilities is, just even as young people in their homes. They don't even know. So I think the biggest thing is, how do we teach our kids what their role is to be productive, period. And to be, what does it mean to be a father? What does it mean to be what does it mean to be a son in this family dynamic that we have right here, whether it's a single parent situation, if you got a stepfather, you have a very dynamic family situation. It's a confusing situation, period.
Okay, so funny that you mentioned that. So I want to be cognizant of our time. So we've been on for a while. Oh, I saw a finger. I saw the church finger. Y'all see the church finger go up? Okay. Do we give him some time before we segue?
Segue.
Okay, so we give him Miss April said you get 2. Go ahead, Brother Collier.
All right, I'll make this real quick. As you know, I'm a mentor, right? And I mentor young men, and I have actually sat and listened to 2 of my mentees go into this argument with each other. I guess they was arguing, and if I were to take that conversation and play it back to you, you would have thought it was 2 women arguing with each other. They were saying the exact words that they've heard their mothers say, and I'm listening to it with my back turned to me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this sounds exactly like 2 women arguing with each other. And this is the confusion I keep trying to explain to y'all. That, and I really agree with what y'all said about the mothers being under so much duress that this is what happens. But I'm saying we have to be mindful that these young people are listening and they are soaking it in, and they come out and they say the exact words they hear being said, and that's what they live by. I mean, you ought to hear them, and it's like I really thought I was listening to 2 young women arguing with each other, and that's just my take.
So that speaks to a couple of different points before we segue. The couple of different points are that we're missing men as role models, or models, not models, but role models, positive role models for our young men. Yes, we saw that Raven. We're accustomed to all of it. We done had it all.
Yeah, we
so
see
you
you,
are
Raven.
officially a cast member, Raven. Everybody give Raven some. Yay! We've had it all. You came on the scene. Eddie done had his baby come in and look. Sabrina had her baby. We done had it all. So you are loved. You see, Brother Collier now. We on here. It's an even playing ground.
Yeah.
So we are missing positive role models. So we need more of that. So to have the balance of the men that we have here be so vehement and so adamant about the presence of men making positive impact in the lives of young people, period, is just so spectacular. So with that being said, I want to be cognizant of the time. So we've been on here for quite a while, and that's a beautiful thing. That time is just rolling. So that's a great thing. But the other flip side to this conversation is divorced mothers. So one would ask, what's the difference between a single mother and a divorced mother, right? Because singleness is a part of that, right? But could be, and this was the conversation I was having a little earlier, there's a little bit of possibly trauma that's a little separate and apart. Could be different, could be the same, but there's a little bit of a separate or different kind of trauma that could be attached to a divorce that's not present in a single parent. So let's address that. So what would you, for you, what would you identify or connotate that would be the significant difference between a single mother and a divorced mother? I'm going to go with the gentleman first. I'm going to go in alphabetical order by first names. Alfred.
Well, the difference I would think is, like you said, it's a trauma. It's sometimes sudden, and now you're having a new role, and you're having to be able to accept that new role when you're divorced. So I would think that would make more stress for that person, have more stress. and understand that the responsibilities have increased mightily, and and I think it's a difficult place to be, because now you have to mourn a loss and at the same time carry on with the of what you have. Thank
All
you.
right. Brother Chad?
I was pretty much thinking the same thing as Brother
How?
Alfred.
Wait,
You know,
how can you be thinking the same thing?
Well, the fact that the fact that you have a new dynamic, you know, you're accustomed to having a certain lifestyle with a certain level of support, and the dynamic has shifted, and so you now have some newfound responsibilities, along with dealing with a certain level of quite possibly, because I hate to characterize, you know, because every situation may be different, but a certain level of having to cope with this newfound newness of relationship status. So, and you know, in some situations it may be a better situation. Other times it might be, you know, a little difficult and challenging. So, as it relates to the I guess the mental set as it relates to coping with, you know, life as it is in the present. So that's, you know, and whenever I think about this, I think about some of the parents who come and speak to me in my office, you know, when their kid has discipline issues, and they tell me about, hey, here's my situation now. Now I have to deal with this, and I'm not over this, you know, and you know, I have these things going on, coach, you know. So, you know, that's my experience as the difference between a single parent, you know, with a single mother. It seems like when they come to talk to me, it's something that they've been dealing with for some time, and it was maybe always their status. But when you have a divorced parent, they have a new status and some newfound challenges to deal with.
All right. And Coach E.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot to add to that. I mean, the bottom line is there's a, you know, emotionally there is some damage done there, and being able to, you know, to accept, like you said, the new role that you have now, you know, whether it's co-parenting, you know, visiting every other week. I mean, it's just so many different there's so many different ways we've seen it happen that emotionally, you know, I only can imagine. I can't even imagine what it would be like, even as a man right now. Something like that happened with me between, you know, my wife and my son. I don't know. So I only can imagine what it's like to be a divorced single mother, depending on how the dynamic of their family. Because some divorces might have been a good thing. So, you know, they might do better by themselves. You know what I'm saying? So really, it's hard to tell. But I just think that being aware that there might be a level of emotional stress there to be aware of. Besides that, I don't really have any other perspective than that. Just being aware emotionally where you are.
Okay, ladies, I'll do the same way. April.
Computer ain't friendly tonight. Again, I've been a divorced parent after being married for 21 years. I mean, y'all say this girl done lived all kind of lives. Who is she?
Hey,
one thing, I had a conversation with my ex-husband that our divorce was it was a little sloppy. And I had a conversation to him after I came to my senses. We don't like each other now, but for the sake of these young people that we are raising, have raised, and that we have to learn how to co-parent them together, we're gonna like each other. So you don't like me now, I don't like you now. We got, now that we've gotten that out the way, let's get to the next phase of what we have to do. And it was crazy because at that time, our youngest child was 18. And then I brought him into what society says a step-parent role, which I hate that word, just for the record. Blended families. He had a daughter and I had two children, and I refer to her as my bonus baby, and she's still my daughter today. She's about to be, well, she is 30. And she still calls me, and she still calls me mom, and she's never disrespected me in that aspect, and that takes nothing away from her mother. But we have to learn how to agree to disagree and parent for the common good of those children that we're rearing. As a divorced parent, I was kind of later in the game because now I told you my baby, the youngest, is 18. So he was like, you didn't have to co-parent, but we do. Because now they're going through their adult phase in life where somebody may be getting married. You ain't gonna go to the wedding because he gonna be there. What's that child gonna feel, or what are they gonna think? So not only do you have to think about your own emotions, you have to think about the emotions of the children. And please don't think that because they are not adults or they're not old enough to understand, they understand something is going on. And so as a parent, I think it's our responsibility to kind of nudge and get them to the place where they can mentally accept what's going on. Counseling, sitting down, having a final family meeting to discuss, hey, this is what's going on. Mom and dad don't fit together like a puzzle piece anymore, but that doesn't change how we feel about either one of you. Like we say, you got to have some real life conversations. And sometimes those conversations are not what you want to have, but they're necessary.
Absolutely. Shapri?
So for me, well, first, are we talking about a divorced single mother or just a divorced mother? Because for me, that's two different things. And divorced single mother, I think the only difference is the single mother has been doing it longer. And the divorced single mother has to make adjustments in life, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. She has to adjust everything in every aspect to now doing it by herself. And keeping her kids in mind, because kids take a transition in that too. And some may act out, some may not. But for a divorced single mother, I just think it's adjusting to doing it on our own, and that can be trauma in itself. That can be overwhelming in itself. Because now you're lost and you kind of got to just find everything and balance it out. But the difference is a single mother's just been doing it longer.
Okay. Interesting that we would add that to it. Now I have something else to add to that, is that how a common thread here seemed to be the adjustment to the divorce. And I found it interesting. And thank you all for sharing. I thought that it was interesting that each one of you took into account the adjustment that had to be made, right? And you all took into account the emotional toll that it would take on that divorced mom. Not more so, but as well as it would take on those children, right?
Right.
And the added stress, because it's a different sort of way of living than she may have been accustomed to. Right?
Right.
Would that be fair? Would that be a fair statement?
I agree.
Would that be a fair statement? Yeah. So it's not that she doesn't know how to do it or wasn't able to do it. It's the emotional part of it. So a divorce can send someone on a spiral. So what happens to make someone snap out of it, fall off of it, or fall into it, or keep them afloat? during that divorce process? Anyone would like to speak on that?
Repeat the question again.
So during that divorce process, right, we're talking about divorced mothers, right? And so we're talking about divorce. Divorce is heavy. And so during this time, as everyone was speaking, I just thought about that emotional part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it divorce within itself. And so that part that came up, the emotional part of it. So divorce can cause a number of things. Divorce can make you fall off of it, fall into it, snap out of it. And you're still a parent during that time. What makes you do any one of those? Would anyone like to speak on it?
I've never been divorced, so I can't really speak on it. Or I wouldn't want to speak prematurely, I'll say.
Well, I've been a divorced parent. And so I just submerged myself in other things. You know, I submerged myself in my kids and my kid at the time, and set the priorities, what the priorities were. You know, hey, we're not together anymore. We have to be amicable. What's important and what's not. You know, now I can't speak to, you know, what she went through and how she processed it and all, because I'm quite sure it was quite different. But you know, I just realized that, man, you know, I was hurt by the situation as well, and went through a little funk for a little while. But at the same time, I said, man, look, hey, you got to get it together, man, and you have a kid that needs you. So let's set these things. What's priority and what's not, and that's how I moved though. You know, I moved, but not everybody does it that way.
I have to say that I agree with Chad. You got to look at it from a holistic point of view. I have my own emotions, but if I say so, my ex-husband, he had his own emotions that he was dealing with, because life as he knew it had changed as well. We were married for 21 years. That's a long time to be married to anybody and then have to deal with breakup. You go into separation anxiety. What am I going to do now? We did everything for our kids together. I heard some Coach Eddie say his wife don't take his son to the barbershop. I may have taken my son to the barbershop, not because his dad wouldn't take him, just because that was just me. Like, I think I may have been a little overbearing. I was at football practice. We was at football practice together, sitting on the sideline. I was coaching. The coach saying, "You gonna listen to her? Or you gonna listen to me?" And he was like, "Man, I got to go home with her. That's mama." And my husband saying, "Babe, let the man coach." You know, so like it's a process for all parties involved. I got counseling. I offered counseling to my kids that wanted counseling. I told my ex-husband, the insurance, here's some counselors. Maybe you need to get some counseling so that we can be able to deal with this new phase of life that we're going to go into. And by all means, we still have to learn how to parent these children, because I know at 18, baby girl wasn't grown. She was just of age. She was getting ready to go off to school. My son was trying to figure out if he wanted to go to school or if he wanted to be grown. And the oldest one, essentially, she was grown, because I never told y'all it's 10 years between that first child and the second child. So while I had the first one at 13, I have another one for 10 years. Because it's something in my mental capacity knew that I didn't want to just be raising kids or just having kids. But over the time, and I ain't have everything right either. I didn't dot every I, didn't cross every T. I'm sure I made plenty of mistakes in the process of going from single to married to divorce. In that whole segue of things that happened. But I know the one thing that I kept constant in my life and you guys will always hear me give him credit for this, was God. I felt like I was spiraling and I was losing my peace, and so I that was one thing I always prayed for, was my peace. And so thinking of how I felt, I can only imagine what my kids were feeling, what they were dealing with, what emotions they were going through. And as a mother, I wanted to be there to shield them and protect them from any of that. I grew up in a household with 4 brothers. They were at every phase of my life. They were always there. Y'all hear me kid with Hobart all the time, but like I think we like have been best friends since he got here. And he's been a part of my support system. And so what I would encourage anybody, if you don't have a support system, find you a support system, get you a support system. If you got little girls, find them some other young ladies that have like minds and where you want to try to see your kids go to mentor them. Find you some Alfred Colliers to mentor your young men, some Chad Wilsons, some Eddie Hamiltons, to be able to direct them in the path that, and so somebody that they feel comfortable with being able to go to and talk. Some Shapri Barnes, some I say all the time, growing up, we didn't know nothing about finances. If I had somebody I could come and talk to about getting my finances together, man, a niece Collier, somebody that I could just go and talk to and say, Miss Collier, this what's going on. What I do? These are the things that we need to try to give, not just ourselves, but our children, because we have to look at the whole picture.
So if I can say something, what I will say, I think in both situations, it's about finding coping skills. What helps you cope? What will help your children cope? One is not more important over the other. I just think it's best to find coping skills that will help get through the process without having a nervous breakdown or a mental breakdown or becoming suicidal. You have to find coping skills.
Okay.
Okay. I would like to add that what Shapri is saying, but I've gone through a divorce myself, so when these things happen, it really depends on where you're at in your life as a person. Because I know when I went through a divorce, hurt people, and the people that get hurt in divorce is the children, because they get forgotten, and my feelings are hurt, her feelings are hurt, and that's all we're worrying about is what's going to make me feel better or what's going to validate me and make her the bad person. What's going to validate her and make me the bad person? That is where the conversation goes to, unfortunately. And I would even give it a 98% in every divorce. So hurt people, and the children are the ones that get hurt. And the focus is lost. So therefore, it is a unfortunate process that happens, and you need someone to kind of stand in the gap for you and be able to make you recognize what it is that's going on at that time. So if you really don't have that support, that's when things really go awry. So and the last thing I like to add is about this whole motherhood thing, parenting itself. Agape love is the greatest love because it holds no boundaries. It never asks for repayment. So if we can concentrate and try to have agape love and understand that agape love, and that is what's going on, I think you can pull through anything.
Thank you. Coach Hamilton, you're on mute.
Yeah, no other thoughts with it. I believe we gained a lot of good ground here tonight. I kind of like the direction Brother Alfred was kind of going in. I wonder if we can keep that going next week or at some point when we were speaking about how the children are defining, the roles of the mother, the absent father, whatever, just like how the kids seeing that and how they're handling it emotionally, especially with the divorce situation, because now you're talking about a divorced mother having to deal with her own emotions and the children. I mean, that's a whole other discussion. So like I feel like that's something we can kind of keep on going with it, because I think our audience would definitely love to hear some of that, because like I said, we are trying to appeal to those that are not necessarily the ones that are informed, but the ones that are uninformed who want to know, because it's so many different ways to go with this. So really enjoyed tonight's discussion, and hope that somebody is opening their eyes a little bit and we said something to help them out. And maybe we can continue on and go into the direction of how the children are affected with co-parenting situations, single parent, single mother, divorce. I mean, it's so enjoy y'all tonight. Just grateful to be here. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome stuff. Tonight was definitely a phenomenal show. We got our mojo working. Hey, tonight was one of those subjects or topics that required the attention, intentionality, and the authenticity and the organicness of the conversation and the attention that we gave it. We spent 2 hours, guys, massaging it, working it, loving it, nurturing it, providing the nature of the femininity as well as the masculinity to this topic, with laughter, with love, with livelihood, with hope, with aspiration, with inspiration, with encouragement. And it showed in every word that was selected, every word that was used, with everything that was thought of, with everything that was even articulated by each and every panelist that was here on tonight. How each person showed up, was present, how each person persevered, and how each person pressed their way through. And so when we think about the single mother, when we think about the divorced mother, when we think about the single parent, when we think about the divorced parent, when we think about the sanctity and the sacredness of motherhood, and how God chose us while we were yet unformed in our mother's womb, we are yet a vessel and an instrument used for His holiness to bring life into this world, for His will to be done. And it is not for naught. It is not to be taken for granted. So who are we not to yield to His will and to use that and to lean not to our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct our path. And we are so thankful for Life Off the Bench to use each one of us as He sees fit to speak to us, to speak through us, that we may be able to plant good seeds on fertile ground, that they may take root and manifest, and we can help somebody along this life journey with real life issues and real life situations and real life circumstances. So as we leave on tonight, we wish peace and blessings to you all, and hope that you be real good to yourself. We wish Hobart Grayson III to get better soon, and we wish Now that we got love, what are we gonna do? Hey, with
With
it. Hey, we love you.
Love
See
you,
you
Hope.
real soon. I'm gonna figure this out in 1 second. I'm gonna figure this out real soon. Help! I need somebody.